Welcome to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, the New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
me, Rob. Let's break down this Texans game.
Oh, yes, it's game time, guys.
Let's go!
Game
2 of the season.
That means we're 2/3 of the way to real football.
So close, guys.
But can the Giants start the preseason 2-0? And does it even really matter? I mean, that's part of the question as well. I mean, I like winning. I don't care. I like winning. We haven't done a lot of that lately, so I'll take any wins I can get my hands on.
Well, I do believe we were, 3-0 last year.
Look how that worked out.
Yeah. So let's not get all the high hopes up there in the preseason game.
High hopes.
We got high hopes for the regular season, not the preseason.
Yeah. Let's first meet the new Texans here, because this is a team that's changed a lot this offseason. So, people talk about the big names they got, obviously, the C.J. Strouds of the world and all. The guys that we all know, the Nico Collins. But they've added some people here. So
they had a lot of depth.
Yeah.
In multiple spots. And
oh, yeah.
Let's talk about some of the people that are already causing a commotion.
As one of them causes a commotion wherever he goes. But Danielle Hunter's first off here. He's the pass rusher from the Minnesota Vikings, who are just losing players left and right. But yeah, they lost him before the season started, at least. So, star pass rusher. The guy is just like an absolute beast. This is the guy that you can count on to go ahead and hit like 12, sacks like it's nothing. That's just what he does. You go the last couple of years here, 16.5 sacks, 10 sacks, 6, 14.5, 14.5, 7, 12.5. I mean, that's pretty freaking impressive there. That's about as good as it gets in the NFL. That's how good he is at getting the quarterback. So
pretty much. Yeah,
so they picked him up. Helps the defense out, obviously, now. They had to get a running back this offseason as well, because I think someone stole theirs. I think maybe the Giants.
Oh, baby.
Yeah. So we got Devin Singletary, so they had to go get a new one. They go ahead and get Joe Mixon, coming off his 4,000-yard rushing season with the Cincinnati Bengals. 7 years in the league now. He feels like he's been in the league forever, but he's still just 28 years old. He wasn't like the guys nowadays that come out at 26 years old.
No. He's got some miles on this and the treads there.
He's got some NFL miles on him there, but again, he was 21 when he got drafted, so it's not like the typical, if you think about it, he's basically he's like a year younger than Saquon, and he's been in the league for a year longer than Saquon.
Yeah, which is kind of weird. And it's
right.
He's also got a lot less miles than Saquon as well. Because I don't know.
With Saquon's injuries, he has a lot less miles than he should have.
Fair, very fair.
But he's a good player. He's a guy who does get some receiving yards as well in the passing games. It's a good get for them overall.
100%.
Curious to see what happens with a new offense for him, though. I mean, obviously he was a little bit protected by Joe Burrow and that offense there, but again, C.J. Stroud now there, so it's not like he's going to a place with a bad quarterback. I think we're not quite sure. You probably give it to Joe Burrow over the two quarterbacks, though, at that point, as being the better.
Yeah, you have to see if C.J. Stroud can make lightning strike twice. I mean, he had a phenomenal rookie year.
Amazing rookie year.
Yeah,
historic. Even, I mean, it's easy to see a quarterback that good that quick.
And the thing is, sometimes, you burn fast and you fade out fast. But
looking at you, RG3.
Yeah. But I mean, can C.J. Stroud keep up that workhorse that he was? Can he be as good as he was?
Or do they have Kirk Cousins on the roster? More RG3 references. I can't help myself. But no, C.J. Stroud. We said it coming out of the draft that he was the best quarterback in that draft. It was a huge mistake for Carolina to take Bryce Young. I still think so. Hopefully for their sake, I'm wrong, but not until after we get back from Germany. But we'll see what happens. And then, of course, they got the big move they got in the latter part of the offseason was getting Stefon Diggs from the Buffalo Bills there. But he's coming off a pretty bad year. I'm not sure what to think of Stefon Diggs, to be honest with you guys, at this point in his career. Last year, 1,180 yards, but 620 of those yards came in the first 6 weeks. So you got 11 games at that point left. They had just 563 yards in those 11.
Yeah, part of me, I don't know if I want to take it as was Buffalo over Diggs last season and just didn't care to play him? Was it him being a diva and not playing to his potential? Was it just him hitting a wall and that's who he is now?
I think it's a combination of a few things, to be honest with you. I mean, their offense definitely changed to more of a running style in there. Running was kind of like an afterthought in the old offense. Now they were running the ball more often. But again, he's also 30.
Yes and no. I'm gonna go. Let's go back to the running game because they forgot how to run the ball in Buffalo, and all they did was throw the ball. And then they remembered that they have a running back, and that's a position, and they start running it way more. And like you said, they changed that offense, and then all of a sudden, your obvious wide one is now his job got minute, and you threw it more to a tight end, and he did your.
In all fairness, they have a really good tight end, but I mean,
they do. But is he
one as well? That just was a rookie the last year. But I still think part of it is the fact that they started using James Cook more often. I mean, James Cook ended on the year with over 1,100 yards. He had 4.7 yards per carry average. He didn't do nearly as much last year, but last year he still had a 5.7 yard per carry average. So he's still very good, just didn't have the volume. So now they gave him the volume there. And if you look at the game log for him at that point, I mean, I know we're not talking really Bills here, but we're talking the Texans. But I mean, if you go through the game log at that point there, it's
it's important to talk about
yards against Broncos, 179 against the Cowboys. He had a lot of big games there towards the latter part of the year there. So, he had a couple of bad ones too as well, to be honest. But they definitely, I felt like, put more of a focus on the running game this year in Buffalo, especially after firing their offensive coordinator after a rough start, Ken Dorsey.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it. And like I said, if you look at that correlation when Ken Dorsey left to when Stefon Diggs, that's what it was.
100% was.
But again, part of it is I think it's safe to say potentially his age. Again, he's 30 years old. That's not to say he's done at being a really good receiver. But 30 at that point, for some receivers, you start losing a little bit of what makes you special, and you're not quite as good as you used to be. He also had his lowest yards per reception average since 2018. So, again, is that the offense not setting him in longer routes? Is that him not getting as far deep downfield? It's hard to say. You got to look at a little bit of a history to see as far as that. And we can't do that till this year. So this year, if he continues down that kind of path, you're going to say that. But here's the crazy thing is, again, Nico Collins is on this team. So for the first time in his entire career, you could make the case that Stefon Diggs is not even the number one receiver on this team. Nico Collins had 1,300 yards, guys, last year. 1,300 yards. That's impressive. 16 yards per reception. He's going to be the deep guy. Diggs is going to be more of the medium routes. And he's going to be option number 2. Which is first time in his career. And you have to wonder what his personality is going to deal with as far as being number 2.
Well, I mean, I watched some of the preseason game last week with Houston, and you saw Diggs already talking to Stroud like, hey, man, when this happens, he's already giving him advice, getting in his face.
Is it advice? Is it advice?
Yeah, well, I didn't want to say he was yelling in his face, but
he's been in 2 scenarios he's kicked himself out of now. So he's gotten out of 2 scenarios because of contract issues and stuff like that. And it's not like either one he was not getting paid well. The Vikings were going to have to pay him eventually. They would have. The Bills already given him an extension. It's like and for years you heard in Buffalo that Diggs wanted out. For years.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
I mean, there
there's
was talks last year. We were talking about him going over to the boys.
there is times you see a receiver when they start losing a little bit of what makes them special, and they don't dial down the attitude and personality, and their career gets very short very quickly.
100%.
STO. T.O. is the classic. That man, I'm telling you right now, as much as he was talking about he could have still played, years after he retired and stuff like that, he could have. I'm telling you right now.
Right.
And I'm not saying necessarily as long as to his 40s and stuff like that. So when he was done playing football, guys, T.O. was 37 years old in 2010. And he still had 17 yards shy of 1,000 yards in 14 games. 37 years old. Like, love him or hate him. And listen, I'm not a fan of T.O. as a person. I think he's a basket case and an egomaniac. That was a special talent. That was a special talent. You don't get just shy of 16,000 career yards. But again, you got a guy who did just shy of 1,000 yards and couldn't find a team that wanted him next year. That's not very often you see that in football.
Yeah, it's also because is he worth the money? Is what it comes down to. Like, when it comes to worth the money, like, is he worth the headache every day?
He was willing to pay. He kept to pay. He kept saying publicly, I'll pay for the minimum. I just want a chance to play again. Like, he was still out there trying to play like 40. Remember that?
Yeah.
I mean, now he's in his early 50s, so he's not going to play anymore, obviously. But I mean, it's that rumor was always out there. And I feel like Diggs, if he's not careful and he keeps up the reputation and mindset he's had, he's going to end up in that same ballpark. Because you can only tick off people so long before you run into people that will let you tick them off. You'll get people that are like, I'm done with you. I'm just not going to give you the energy anymore. And if you do that enough in this business, it's a small circle of business, guys. And eventually, you have trouble finding a home. And Giant fans are going to hate me saying this, but ask OBJ.
Well, I guess Miami's still open to Diggs.
Yeah, Miami has OBJ as a third receiver, by the way, guys.
I know.
So just saying. Let's get into the Giants, though. Now we talked enough about the Texans here. We're not a Texans podcast. We're a Giants podcast. God damn it! So
yeehaw.
Let's talk about the stars of last week. And that's the backup running backs. There's in the graphic. We got Eric Gray, PFF named the NFC Offensive Player of the Week, which I never thought I'd say that together.
Right?
It's a phrase I never thought come out of my mouth. I wouldn't mind it coming out. I'm upset about it, but never thought I'd say.
Yeah.
So
just sounds weird to put together.
Yeah. I mean, so you look at this game. We all know Daniel Jones is going to play. That's already been announced. We talked about it on the show, a couple episodes ago. We know that because of that, you got to assume the starters as a whole are going to play. So Devin Singletary probably going to hit the field for a drive or two. But the backups were the stars of that game versus the Lions last week. Absolutely the stars. All three of them, Eric Gray, Tyrone Tracy Jr., Dante Turbo Miller.
Turbo.
I knew. But now you look at this, situation going on there that in that room, and guys, we talked about on the episode, we just had up yesterday. There's been some major issues with this running back room. You got, Dante Miller is dealing with the hamstring issue. Tyrone Tracy Jr. has the lower ankle sprain. That luckily we, knock on wood, there avoided a large, potentially season-ending injury like that. Luckily, he's not a Viking, so he got healthy. But now you have a chance for Eric Gray to go ahead and repeat what he did last week. You have Dante Miller, if he's able to play, get a chance to get even more playing time, which is key for a guy who's been out for 2 years basically of football. I mean, he had like 6 carries 2 years ago. I'm not going to count that as really actually time on the field there, you know. And, you know, the biggest, guy who gets a real shot here is Lorenzo Lingard, the newly signed running back who was, formerly on the Jaguars team there until they cut him last week. And he becomes the guy that comes into a scenario that was loaded with running backs to a position where he might be running back 3. Worst case, he's 4, but maybe even 3 in this game, which means he'll definitely get some playing time, get a chance to audition for either the NFL as a whole or the Giants to potentially look at him as a practice squad player, because I don't think he's going to make the roster with anything. I don't think there's any kind of shot whatsoever on that happening there. So, but it's an opportunity for these guys because of the Tyrone Tracy Jr. injury, because of the fact that Dante Miller may also be injured. Eric Ray is going to play more in that scenario, or Miller's going to play more if he is healthy and take up some of the snaps that Dante Miller would have had. That Tyrone Tracy would have had. And like I said, you got Lorenzo Lingard now, who's going to get snaps where he may not have gotten any snaps whatsoever. I mean, Jacob Saylor's got no snaps against the Lions whatsoever. They wanted to give Miller the time. It was pretty obvious there. It was Miller time.
Ooh,
yes.
My favorite time.
I just thought of that as something like, I did not thought about that phrase. It's Miller time. We got turbo time and Miller time out of the same guy. But like I said, that's gonna be a fun thing to watch and see what happens there. Another one that's gonna be fun to watch here is Tommy DeVito. Tommy DeVito has a real shot here to do something special and put a exclamation point here on his preseason. Again, we said Daniel Jones is going to play in the game. He's going to start. He'll probably be in for like 1 or 2 drives, and that's it. After that, guys, it's all DeVito all the time. We're going to have more DeVito here than the movie Twins.
Ooh.
Yes. We did the turbo time Arnold Schwarzenegger before a minute ago. Now we got Tommy DeVito with the Dan DeVito reference. We got all DeVitos here. But like I said, it's one of those scenarios where if he plays, let's say, listen, guys, it's a great problem to have if it happens. Let's say he plays lights out here against the Texans. Tommy DeVito plays lights out. Now you got the conversation opened up of like, okay, Drew Lock. Is Drew Lock 2 or 3? Do we keep 3 quarterbacks in this roster? Because if he looks good, guys, that really increases the opportunities for teams to look at him if the Giants try to sneak him out of the practice squad and they go, hold on a second, this guy looked really good in preseason. He looked pretty good as a little spark, when they took him off the bench there last year and he had to start a couple of games.
Yeah.
This guy is backup in this league. Because I still don't think Tommy DeVito is a starter. Let's be very clear on that.
Yeah.
But I wonder if he could be a good, inexpensive backup for a team. And I mean, Giants gave $5 million to Drew Lock, so that's the problem.
I mean, the best scenario for DeVito, like we said, he's probably not going to be the starter permanently anywhere anytime soon. But what if he goes lights out? What if he goes lights out next week?
Yeah,
can he be the next Joshua Dobbs?
I don't think he's that. I don't think that.
I'm not saying that, but Noah thought Josh Dobbs was going to do what he did last year. But that's what teams are going to look at. Does he have the opportunity to fill in for a spot? Looking at you, Minnesota.
Oh, gosh. I had to think about that.
To come in there and not be the next dude that steps up as the quarterback, but be the guy that gets them through the season.
Yeah. I mean,
halfway through the season.
I think no matter what, Tommy DeVito is safe this year to be somewhere. Whether it's the practice squad for us, another roster, our roster, I don't know. He's going to be somewhere in this NFL because of what he did last year, no matter what. But yeah, he has a real chance in this game because he's probably going to pay like 3/4 of the game, if not more. I can't imagine. The third quarterback, guys, if you don't remember, we talked about this. Tyree Jackson, the tight end, is the emergency quarterback because he did play quarterback over at Buffalo. Not the Bills, but Buffalo at the school. So it's DeVito time, guys. You're going to see tons and tons of DeVito on Saturday.
Bunch of chicken cutlets.
Oh, yes. There'll be all kinds of Italian references here the entire time. But yeah, it's like I said. I hope he grabs the bull by the horns there. I root for the kid. I love an underdog story. We talked about that. With some of the guys like Miller on this roster. This is an underdog story. I mean, you got a guy who's undrafted. Switched over to a school to get what he thought was a better opportunity for his last year and everything. I mean, it's a good story, and you throw in the whole.
He's a homegrown Jersey tomato.
The Italian part, his mom making big ziti, and he still lives with her. Like, there's just fun parts of this story. There really is. So, plus, I'll say that I respect this, I think, more than some people do. But the fact that he was trying to make money like crazy off his name and everything already, I respect that. I really do. Like, you make the money while you can, goddammit, because who knows what's going to happen in the future.
Listen, if he comes out, he plays like just total ass this preseason. He's not gonna. Well, he's gonna still be a Giant most likely on the practice squad, but like he wouldn't be in the conversation we're talking about now. Like, will he be gonna pick up somewhere else? Like, so yeah, you take the opportunity to make the money when you can in this NFL with the career average of 3 years. So
not for long.
Yeah.
So yeah. So like I said, good opportunity for him, and like I said, I hope he grabs that bull by the horns, and I think he's gonna. Honestly, I think he's gonna do. And I said I'll play lights out. But I think he's going to, especially towards the end of the game, he'll be better than everybody else in the roster. Basically, it's still on there. When you start going like third stringers, that probably wouldn't make the league, So he's going to put on a little bit of a show, I think. So should be fun to watch there. So
yeah,
let's talk about what to hope for in the game, because it's always a confusing thing when you start talking about the preseason. The preseason, you go, well, do I care who wins or loses? So let's be honest. Again, I love to win. It's not the greatest, it's not the most amazing thing. It's not even the most important thing in the world. The most important thing is no more injuries, guys. No more injuries, Yeah,
it's like that's a given part of it. Yeah. Obviously, you don't want any more injuries. I look at it as like, how well can these guys that are backups, they're strings, 4-string guys, how well do they play against a competition that don't know our plays, don't know what we're going to do? Like, to me, like, that's what you want to see. Like, you want to see how do these guys play against other people that are not their peers.
Yeah. I want to see starters dominating. That's what I want to see. I want to see Daniel Jones moving around and looking good. Not, I don't want him doing crazy things. I just want him looking like he can play football, if that makes sense.
Yes. I mean, I do not want to see him run past the line.
No. And I don't want to see him getting smacked to the ground by pass rushers either. Come on, line.
No.
Get together.
I want to see, like, as much as I want to say it, I want to see how his steps move. Like, I want to see, like, how he steps up in the pocket. And I want to see how he feels. I want to see him feel comfortable in the pocket is what I want to see.
And much like Shakira said, the hips don't lie. Like, they will tell you what's going on as he's as he's moving around. Like, you're going to see how uncomfortable or how healthy he really is. And he's looked like he's okay in camp. He has, but let's see what happens in a little more live action at that point, because he's still protected. He still has the red jersey on when he was going against the Lions even last week, even though he was getting in starting fights himself at that point. But he still had the red jersey on. So I want to see what happens the first, because he's going to get hit. Let's be honest. I say I don't want him hit, but he's going to get hit. That's life.
Yeah.
Even not say a sack, even, but somebody just smacking into him. There's just Newton's laws of motion there. I want to see how quick he gets up. I want to see if he's hurting at all. I want to see how the motions are. I want to see everything. Like, we're going to overanalyze the hell out of this. I guarantee you. Like, we still talk about it in the last episode there. Yeah. Like,
we talked about how we shouldn't do that, but that's 100% what
going to happen. And it's human nature, because it's so important for this season what he does. So it's going to happen. So, I also want to see what happens to some of the guys that are on the injury list. The last episode, we just did a whole list of all the injuries there. There's a lot of players that are injured. And there's a lot of guys that are day to day or week to week, and you just don't know when they're coming back. It's not always major injuries. We've luckily avoided those so far. But you look at some of these guys and you go, some of these guys might play. Some of these guys might not play. And if they play or don't play, that tells you exactly how bad the injury is. Because when it's preseason like that, and especially if it's guys that we know we're going to make the roster, like the Cordell Flotts of the world and all, Like, you're not going to play people if you think they might get hurt. You're going to err on the side of caution, as you should. So,
100%.
yeah. So, I don't expect anything crazy. I don't expect all the players that are, small injuries. But I want to see who plays and who doesn't at that point. So it tells you how bad those injuries really are, and if anybody we got to worry about potentially being out for a few weeks. So, but yeah, I mean, I said at the beginning, wins don't matter. A win would still be nice, guys.
Who doesn't
It
want
would
to
still be nice. I'd like it. I always want to win. I'm always competitive like that. I always want to win. I don't care if it's just preseason and doesn't really matter. I want to win. So hopefully we win. Winning is good no matter what, because it breeds that kind of mentality of we're used to winning. Unfortunately, it didn't really do that very well last year, but it's there. So let's talk about one last thing here, guys, before we call it our night. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and talk about a little contest.
Enter to win a Daniel Jones signed jersey. Simply subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@2giantgoofballs, and email a screenshot to 2giantgoofballs@mail.com to enter. Only one submission allowed per subscriber. Monthly subscribers at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs will get an additional 2 entries. Contest ends when the channel reaches 1,000 subscribers. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. This contest is not affiliated with the NFL, New York Giants, Daniel Jones, or any other person or company besides the 2 Giant Goofball podcast. Good luck to everyone.
All right. We got a few more people that have signed up as well for that, guys. If you haven't already and you're one of our regulars, do it. It's free. And if you're not one of our regulars, you just subscribe because you like 1 or 2 shows and you like to watch occasionally. Do it.
Helps you get a free jersey.
Whatever it is. Because it's free. There it is. Signed. Ready to go. Authenticated. Free. It's the perfect price.
If it's free, it's for me.
Yeah. You might not be a Daniel Jones fan, but it's free. Who cares?
Yeah.
Free. All right. Let's talk about a new Giant. There's a new Giant. It's got that shiny new Giant smell.
It smells like BO.
So the Giants brought in on Wednesday a couple of safeties into the camp there. 2 of them to work out. 1 they signed. 1 they didn't. Who knows? They might sign them still. That's why we're going to talk about it just in case, because you never know. Things change. I was actually writing the notes since we're recording this the day before, since it's birthday weekend for Rob and I. So we're going to do this when recorded here for you guys. But probably should have said it at the beginning. People are like, in the comments like, is this one recorded or is this live? No, this one is pre-recorded. But yeah, the as I'm like writing the notes out for the show and everything, we signed Raheem Lane. I'm like, God dang, I gotta go back in, change this whole thing. But yeah, he just, like I said, just signed there on Wednesday. He's 5'11", 192 pounds, 25 years old, undrafted rookie free agent from Indiana back in 22. In 2 seasons with the Chargers, he played in 11 games, had 1 start, 7 tackles that entire time. So that just tells you wasn't playing.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say that necessarily. He was a pretty good special teamer for the Chargers. He was on, like, I looked up, like 80% of their snaps in special teams. So they did like what he did on special teams there. I think partially bringing somebody in at the safety position tells you a couple of things of what's going on with Jalen Mills, Javarius Owens, both who were injured. Javarius Owens is, had a nice opportunity in camp, but now he's injured, so we'll see what happens there. Again, he's a guy that could come back in a day, could be gone for a while. They're listing him as day-to-day, but they've kind of been very, limited on what they're giving us info-wise because they don't have to this time of year. Jalen Mills came in on the PUP list, and we haven't seen him practice with the team. He's been working out as far with trainers and stuff like that, so it's not like he's been like MIA.
Hanging at the puppy mill.
Yeah, he's not like Brandon Ayuk here, where he's just not at camp anymore. he's there. He's just not able to work. So, we'll see what happens with him. But the fact that, again, they're bringing safeties in tells you they're a little worried about these injuries possibly lingering. And they're kind of sitting there asking, do you have to let it linger? Do you have to let it linger? But yeah, that's what Raheem Lane is. He's a guy that if you have to pop minute safety, you can. but he's much more of a special teams kind of guy. And if he's the bottom of the barrel safety for you, let's be honest, you really don't want him out there. You know, you got Tyler Newman, you got in the second round, you got Jason Pinnock, you got Dean Belton, you got Isaiah Simmons, who they're planning to play as a nickel and dime guy, but he has played safety if you really have to put him there at that point. It's not a problem. You know, so it's not like this is a guy that you see as a potential starter because the injuries are that bad. Like, we still have options. Again, Nick McLeod, we've talked about, is him potentially being an outside corner, but he's also played, remember last year, played some safety in camp as well. You know, so again, they have options. They're just trying to have another body at that point they can do something with. And he's shown some value on special teams. So it makes sense to bring a guy like that in. The other guy they went ahead and brought in to camp was Jonathan Sutherland for a workout there. Not to be confused with Kiefer Sutherland. No, he's not. He's not. He's not from the Sutherland family with Donald Sutherland and all. 5'11", 202 pounds, 26 years old. Another undrafted rookie free agent. This one from Penn State. Last year, he was in camp with the Seahawks, had a calf injury, which caused him to miss most of the preseason. So they waived him, paid him out an injury settlement. And they signed him on one of those future reserves deals there when the season ended. So he was brought back into camp this year, but they cut him last week. So he's now available as well. He also did visit with the Denver Broncos prior to visiting with us as well. So, you know, he's got a couple of suitors there. He's like the Bachelor right now. Everybody's giving. Who does he give the rose?
Suitor number one.
I like long walks to the beach. Everybody used to do those shows all the time. There's like dating shows like that. Those are funny as hell. Now instead we have like crazy stuff. We just throw people in a room and see what happens.
Yeah, bring back the show that was in the Mallrats.
Oh God. But yeah, the guy's never played a game in the NFL, guys. So who knows what skill level he really has. But I will say this. He wasn't expected to take a long role. He wasn't even actually expected to make the roster with the Seahawks last year. The Seahawks thought so little of him, they cut him this year. So, yeah, again, a guy that may have something we don't know. I mean, some guys practice, they don't practice as well as they play in games, but I wouldn't expect a lot of if we bring him in.
It's few and far between. You normally practice as hard as you're going to play or close to.
It's not even hard as you're going to play at that point. It's just sometimes people get a little pumped up for a game at that point. It changes how you play, But I don't think we're going to sign him, to be honest with you. I think the fact that we brought them both in and we already signed one, that just tells me all I need to know.
The writings on the wall and the contract.
Yeah, I mean that's the truth. I mean, but who knows? If Mills and Owens are both hurt and going to be out for a while, do you sign both potentially just to have another camp body at that point for the next week or two? Possible.
You might.
It's possible. But if you're Sutherland, you're probably not going to sign on a team that you think is going to cut you in a week or two. So, plus
the next Russell Wilson. Let's ride.
Here's an interesting mind trip for you guys. Everybody keeps talking about Justin Simmons, the free agent safety, who, again, I talked about in the show before. He did not have a good year last year. I don't know why people want this kid so bad. But he, think about it. Jonathan Sutherland visited with the Broncos. The Broncos could have just as easily picked up the phone and said, hey, Justin Simmons, would you like to come back? Granted, Simmons will want more money than Sutherland. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing this out there. As maybe Justin Simmons isn't as good a catch as people think he is.
It's fair. It's fair.
Yeah. So, all righty, guys. Let's pay the bills real quick. Oh, it's bill paying time.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
All righty, guys. So Saturday night. Getting my days all messed up since we're not recording this live. Saturday night is the game. We are not going to be on here again probably till Monday for you guys, just to give you a heads up there. We said keep an eye out. We'll let you know. So we got plans all weekend long, Rob and I. But like I said, it's our birthday weekend, guys. If it's a regular season game, we'd be on for it, but a preseason game. So
I guess non-divisional rival.
Yeah, exactly. With the starters might play 1 or 2 drives. So we'll be back again for you guys on Monday. We'll go over the game and everything that happened then. If anything, it's nicer because it gives us a chance to rewatch it a couple times there to see a couple of things there at that point. But yeah, so we'll be back again Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as usual with our post-game reaction show, talking about the winners and losers of the game. And I don't mean by the team, same as we last time, talk about different players that really helped or hurt their cause by things that happened in that game there. And then, of course, regular schedule at that point, Wednesday and Thursday as well, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we'll see next week what we do with the last game there against the Jets there. But so, as always, guys, make sure to go hit that like, hit that subscribe, share it to a friend. Let somebody know about the show. We get emails and messages all the time going, how did I never come across you guys? It's because we suck at marketing. We count on you all to let people know about this. We are horrible about marketing. So appreciate you guys' help with that there. Again, sign up for the contest. Enter for the jersey. Subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. It's all you got to do to get it. It's free. Yeah. So, and of course, remember, we're always live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and of course, Rob's favorite, my LinkedIn profile. And we'll probably bring Jack back Twitter again, so you might as well like us there too as well. Stupid Elon Musk trying to charge $11 a month just to stream on their thing. Yeah, I also don't want to do it on principle. It's just a freaking jerk move. It really is. Like if you're doing something that even Mark Zuckerberg thinks is wrong, you got to look in the mirror.
I don't have to look at so many ads every time I go on there and pay you $11. I might think about it, but there's still ads.
Well, they do reduce the ads, actually.
That's what they say.
But yeah, guys. So again, as always, we are available the next day, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We usually post it there for the audio versions. So that's available on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all the big ones there. Pandora, whatever one you're on, Amazon. I mean, if we're not on the one that you listen to podcasts on, then you must listen to some weird freaking podcast app, but it's the wrong damn one. You should download all the ones we are on and subscribe immediately.
Yes. We will take multiple subscriptions.
We'll take it. So, all right, guys. We appreciate you guys listening in as always. Sorry we weren't able to do this one live here like we like to do usually for you guys, but hope you liked it anyway. And I'm sure one of us probably pop in the comments. So if you haven't already put some comments up so we know and hit that like button there.
At this point, I'll be having a lot of fish and a lot of wine, so I might be in the comment section.
It might be that order. Who knows? A lot of fish, and a lot of wine,
or vice versa.
Who knows? Who knows? Could be fish and wine at the same time.
That's gonna look crazy. Sake.
Is it sake you're doing? Well, I can't do sake. It's got that dry aftertaste. I'm not a rice wine person. I like it going down, and I don't like it later, like a second later when it gets that weird aftertaste.
Mm. Yeah,
I just want sweet wine. The more it tastes like Welch's, the happier I am. All right, guys. We'll see you guys again, like I said, on Monday. Appreciate you guys for listening as always. And as always, Giant fans,
go G-Man!
Go G-Man!
It's time for the news.
Wrong one.
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please